Smile. It's time for Clubbing the Goods.
Live from San Luis Obispo and Temecula, California, Alex Klupper, Bobby Goodsby, they're back. It's time for Clubbing the Goods.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Clubbing the Goods. Alex Klupper, Bobby Goodsby here on a Tuesday. Bobby Goodsby had some family visiting, so we're going a day later, but we're happy to be here. Even though I am quite tired tonight, Bobby.
I feel you, man. I am right there with you. I'm getting over being sick. I've got that stupid cold / allergy thing going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the worst. My throat just all day.
Going around.
See,
there you go. See,
there it goes. There you go. So if I'm coughing, that's why, and I apologize.
Well, luckily, our millions of viewers will be able to call an ambulance for you in case you get a little bit too sick.
My girlfriend calls it the man flu. So
yeah, well, I get my man period sometimes. It's not right now, but
it happens
coming up. But that's why I have this. Thanks to my guy Xavier at the Shell station for getting me this bad boy to help me get through the next couple hours.
Smudge on my computer. Okay, we're good. Nothing on the Mac.
Okay, yeah, no, that's the most valuable possession that I have. Probably the most valuable possession you have. It's
I got the iMac, the new one, the 21.5-inch screen. I bought it last year. It's my baby.
That's why you're gleaming so much. You see, you're there with your baby. You guys are looking at each other in the eye. You're looking right into the webcam and right back at you.
I've always had PCs. I recently got a Mac last year, and I love it.
I've had this one for I don't know, 8 years. It has a couple different parts exchanged in the meantime, but it's been good.
I've always had those shitty Asus, whatever,
Acer.
I don't know. I've always had the shitty ones that cost $200,
right.
My whole life, and I was like, I'm getting a nice one. But let's talk sports. That's what we're here for. That's what people want.
One more thing, maybe you might have to turn it in for an autographed something or other from my man Kirk.
Oh, well, I've got the Kirk.
You already got that. Yeah,
huh?
You already got that. That's. I'm surprised you didn't say that was your most prized possession.
Well, that's up there. Between that, my TV, and my computer, we're good.
King of 8 and 8.
Also, I will throw this out. It's sports related.
Okay.
A regular at my bar last week gave me all these football cards, a collection of football cards from 1993.
Okay.
And I looked up the value. They're not worth much. But I have over 1,700 of them. But see, little football cards from 93. I looked them up. Each card's 70 cents. So 1,600 cards at 70 cents a piece.
Yeah, you're ready to retire, Bobby.
I mean,
one more good year in you, and then you can.
I have no idea who's buying these worthless cards, but I've got them.
I'm sure one of our loyal viewers.
So if you're looking for some 93, what is it called? 93. That's a Ronnie Lott card. You might like that one. Mm-hmm. Ronnie Lott on the Raiders. Yeah. Upper Deck 93 cards.
Okay.
You call me. You let me know. I've got literally every card made that year.
Okay, there you go. 93. You maybe got a Jim Kelly in there.
I do. Mm-hmm. I actually have them right here at the beginning. Here, you keep talking. I'll find you some of these. I got a Barry Sanders.
2 hour. Oh, there you go.
I got some Jerry Rice. So we got 2 hours to talk. We can go through every single card.
2 hours. We'll get through a third of the cards.
I got a Ronnie Lott Jets one.
Wait, I think you just had a Ronnie Lott Raiders one.
I have a lot. Literally a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, Bobby, I mean, you got a lot of possessions in there. I mean, I hope you lock your front door at night because someone's gonna try to kind of grab all these football paraphernalia.
A Warren Moon,
a
Jerry. So yeah, Steve. So yeah, we've got them all here. Everything you need.
You put a target on your back tonight.
We are boring people to death right now. Let me put these away and let's get to it.
Coming up on the NFL Trading Card Hour, we're going back to 1997, the rare cuts.
By the way, since we're talking, are you going to be storming Area 51?
When is it supposed to happen?
September 21st.
So that's exactly the day I come back from my honeymoon. Hey, why not? We'll just change our flight back from, instead of to Sacramento, to whatever airport's closest to Area 51. I'm guessing like Vegas or something.
Or just instead of going on your honeymoon, go to Area 51 for your honeymoon.
Okay, but if I go there early,
your fiance would love
be
it.
The first one shot. So
yeah.
If you're listening, Bobby is now our travel agent.
Yep. Sorry, Jamie.
Unfortunately, Kauai will have to wait. If we survive the storming of Area 51, we'll go someday.
And also, you're gonna do it. You have to do it. And I don't care. They have that entire area booked for hotels for that week. Like, it's been a huge boom for their economy over there.
I'm gonna land, because we land like 9:00 at night or something. I'm gonna land and just like look on Twitter. I'm like, okay, like 1,000 people were shot by Area 51 security. That's not great.
Yeah, no, I really honestly I hope no one actually goes, because that's just stupid. Don't be an idiot.
Oh, I'm sure there will be like one guy that like there'll be like more security that's like a mile out. Like, dude, turn around.
I don't think they'll actually like kill him or anything. I think they'll just use like bean bags and stuff to shoot at him.
They'll just get like an old English, give them an old English. Like, come on, here,
don't be stupid.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what's out there. It just does. It's not worth it. So that poor guy, whoever set up that account, like I hope he's not liable for anyone that actually goes out there and gets killed or whatever.
Yeah, he's in Guantanamo right now.
Right?
You heard from him again.
He made a joke site and now he's on the hit list.
Yeah. He's fugitive number 1. Number 2, possibly Ezekiel Elliott.
Yes.
A couple of things going on with Zeke. We'll talk about that. So NFL training camps started up in the last week or so. Everyone's in now and doing their thing. Reports are coming out. So we'll hop right on that in just a couple of minutes. UFC 240 went down in where was it? It was in Calgary. Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Not a fantastic card as we previewed last week, but the top 2 fights,
not my favorite.
Yeah, were meaningful. So we'll talk about that, and then the kind of war of words between Dana White and Cyborg. We'll get into that. There was a couple of interesting fights announced in last week, and then we got another UFC on ESPN 5, which is kind of the same as this UFC 240. It's got two good fights at the top, and then unless you're a really hardcore, may not be anything worth your while until those top 2. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk MLB trade deadline. We had a big trade today, including Bobby's beloved San Diego Padres. We'll get his astonished reaction on air. You'll see the tears streaming down his face. And a couple other smaller trades, and we'll talk some trades that might happen and guys that are on the block and kind of dissect some of that. Troy Tulowitzki retired. He was one of my guys back in the day. Rocktober. That was a fun team. And then a couple of NBA basketball things. CJ McCollum gets paid. Players only is canceled to the joy of everyone on the entire planet Earth. Zion gets his shoe deal, and Steve Ballmer says the Clippers might not be the Clippers anymore. But Bobby, the biggest stuff from this past week has been the NFL training camps opening and the stories that have emanated from that. I want to start with maybe the biggest injury so far is AJ Green. It was originally reported that he would be out 6 to 8 weeks. It's looking like that is going to be accurate. Sounds like he's going to miss a couple of games to start the year. Now, AJ Green, he missed a lot of time last year, has been one of the top, I guess you could say easily one of the top 10 since his ascent in the league. And the Bengals aren't expected to do much this year, but that's only going to further hinder an offense that relied on him a lot. And it's not going to be good for the Red Rifle trying to get any not upset hopes, but trying to get a sneak into the playoffs, if you will. So AJ Green down for a little bit. Bobby, talk about that. Talk about how maybe that might affect anything fantasy wise.
Yeah, no, this is a huge. Oh my gosh, I already blinked on what I was going to say. This is a huge disappointment
Yeah.
for all of the Cincinnati Bengals organization and their fans. For one, they're going into this season with low expectations. Everyone that I've seen through all the different media outlets, online and everything, they have the Bengals as one of the bottom 2 or 3 teams pretty much everywhere in the power rankings. They are not predicted to go very far. Everyone's down on the red rifle. They really don't think that he has what it takes to take this team to the next level. There's no Marvin Lewis there anymore guiding this team. They have a new head coach, and really they just have a lot of young players that are coming into this organization that has been downtrodden for a very long time. We know their playoff experience where they can't win a playoff game to save their life, no matter how good they are in the regular season. And
they
then
lost their emotional leader and Vontae's perfect. I mean,
exactly.
That guy angled to the core.
Yeah. So everything about this team is showing a downward spiral. And now your best player on the field, outside of maybe Mixon, is going down with an injury. And this guy, AJ Green, gets hurt every single year. One of the biggest knocks on him and why he might not get another big contract is because teams are worried about him. He's notorious for going down with injury every single year. When he's on the field, he's a hell of a player, but he cannot stay healthy to save his life. So going into the season, everyone's hopes are on AJ Green staying healthy. And what happens in preseason? First week of training camp, he goes down with a very bad injury. So he's going to miss a few weeks, and this just lowers their expectations even more. So I have them actually at the bottom of my power rankings now, below Miami. So I'm really not thinking they're going to have a very good season at all. They need AJ Green to get healthy and stay healthy, but even then it's going to be a long shot. So, it's not looking good for the Bengals and their fans.
Right. And it sounds like one of the big causes of what happened to AJ was the turf in Dayton, Ohio, and they're there practicing for the NFL 100 celebration. First practice, it tears up. I guess it doesn't tear up, but it's is it a knee injury? What is it? Is it a ankle? I know Tyler Boyd, who is kind of their ascending receiver. It's an ankle injury. Yeah.
Ankle injury. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was ripping the field, the last couple of days. And like you said, I mean, AJ Green, he's 30 years old now, or he's going into his age 31 season. So it's already a time that you'd expect him to see some decline. But a lot of guys, it's weird when you're not in that decline phase yet, or a couple years past, maybe a star player that has seen that decline phase, and not like a Hall of Fame player, not like a Julio Jones, but maybe that tier below, like an AJ Green, and he may end up being the Hall of Fame. I probably don't think so, but
no, I don't think so at this point. He's never healthy,
right? But he's kind of in that next tier. He's always been a very good player when he's been healthy, but you almost kind of just look by the wayside and you don't predict that downturn. You always think, well, he's going to be great, and then maybe just one day he won't play. But this kind of seems like one of those things where age and injuries are catching up to him. Last year he played 9 games, had 694 yards and 6 touchdowns. Second on the team in yards, third in the team in touchdowns. It just kind of seems like, maybe in 2 or 3 years, AJ Green might not even be in the league anymore, just because an accumulation of injuries leads to him, having not the explosiveness that he once had. He's obviously a bigger receiver, so we can always have those jump balls, but the athleticism goes and the age catches up to you playing football, especially. This could be maybe the beginning of the end, the end of the prime years for AJ Green, which would be too bad if that happens, because he's been a very exciting player. He's kind of propped up a lot of that Cincinnati offense in their better years. And I think Andy Dalton owes him a steak dinner or two once everything is all said and done, because he's really had him to fall back on his entire career in Cincinnati. So don't want to do an entire eulogy for his career right now. Obviously, he'll be back, and we hope to see him continue to do AJ Green things. But yes, in my mind, this could be, kind of the bellwether point of his career where we see a kind of a sharp trajectory down.
Yeah, he just can't stay healthy. I'm sorry, he just can't stay healthy. And if he doesn't change that or somehow find a way to keep himself healthy or keep himself on the field, I don't see him staying with the Bengals very long, past this contract, because I just don't see them wanting to re-sign a guy who's talented but can never stay healthy.
Yeah. And other NFL wide receiver injury news, Kansas City Chiefs fans and I guess exhale, and the rest of the league kind of says, oh, darn, we could have had one. Tyreek Hill got injured today, but it looks like it's pretty minor. He had a quad contusion during practice today. He, I guess, went on the cart and left, but looks like it's going to be a relatively minor thing. I mean, Kansas City has many weapons. Patrick Mahomes, their quarterback, their star quarterback, MVP of the league last year, being the top guy. But Tyreek Hill, I mean, every legal issues and personality issues aside, is one of the top 5 most explosive players in the entire league. Losing him, they're obviously very glad that the legal situation played out like it has. They are thanking Roger Goodell for not taking the Roger Goodell route that he usually does, and kind of just stamping a 6-game suspension on, or whatever he sees fit. They may have dodged one, and this may have been a little bit of a karma trying to bite the Kansas City Chiefs, but looks like he will be okay. I mean, I don't know what would happen in that offense. I mean, I'm sure Andy Reid, he's a great offensive coach, at least in the regular season. He'd be able to put some things together, but he is a huge part of that offense. And good, big dodge for them.
Yeah, big, huge dodge. We kind of talked about it last week, but Tyreek Hill, if he just needs to get his act together, man. This is now multiple times that he's had these domestic violence situations pop up, and if he can't get on the straight and narrow, it's going to catch up to him again. And he's a hell of a player, great talent. We see what he can do. He by himself makes them a Super Bowl contender with Patrick Mahomes. If they don't have him, I don't see them as one of the front runners. But unlike a Kareem Hunt, who they had, and once they lost him, they were still able to get to the AFC Championship. I think Tyreek Hill is that game changer that puts them above and beyond. But he needs to get his act together, and he lucked out this time. We don't know the full details, like I said, so it's all hearsay at the moment. But if he did have anything to do with his son's arm, then that is just a despicable act, and he needs to be punished. But right now, they don't have any proof of anything, so there's nothing we can say or do about it. But he's such a great talent that could have such an amazing career and possibly go on to be a Hall of Famer. He just needs to get his act together.
Mm-hmm. One more injury news. Andrew Luck, he got a calf issue. He's gonna miss the next couple of practices. Next game.
That's my attempt at the Andrew Luck voice.
That sounded just like the alien from Men in Black.
They are so mixed up in my mind that me, like, they sound like they're twin brothers, but definitely I can see where it'd be more of the alien from that.
Sugar. I need sugar.
Water. Sugar, water.
I mean,
water.
Do we know Andrew Luck is not an actual one of those aliens?
Hey, maybe that's what we're coming up with. Maybe we finally figured out the Andrew Luck situation.
Okay, we got that. We got
conspiracy theorists.
That's what they're hiding inside Area 51.
Oh my gosh, and we're coming full circle now.
He has a calf injury. Go to Area 51. Hey guys, like, they're kind of on to me. You know what
it was when he had that neck injury? They put an alien in him, and that's why he's playing at a better level.
Yeah, guys,
the ball.
Get open, guys.
Where's Eric Ebron?
I just lost Stanford and the city of Indianapolis.
So Andrew Luck, Luck, he's kind of seems like he's kind of injury prone. I mean, he had a very good year last year, a good bounce back year for him.
Very good year, yeah.
After not playing at all until 2017, after playing only 7 games in 2015, and he's already going into his 30-year-old season, which is crazy to think about when, for so many years he's been talked about as like the, next coming of Peyton Manning, the heir apparent in Indianapolis. And he, don't get me wrong, he's been very good.
He's our age, right?
What?
He's our age, right?
Let's see when his actual birthday is.
He's older than me.
He's 2 months older than me, Bobby.
Yeah. So. How crappy do we feel about ourselves that this guy's been in the league forever? It feels like, and he's our age.
The
same with Cam Newton.
What's really gonna make it like terrible is when there's like, oh my god, can you believe he's still in the league? And he's.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know. So go on. What were you saying?
I mean, he's had a solid career, but I don't know if you can say he's had the, breakthrough Hall of Fame type career that everyone kind of put on him when he was the consensus #1 pick coming out of Stanford, when he was drafted first overall by the Colts in 2012. I mean, like, I don't want to trash him too much, and maybe some of this is just a little bit of me not exactly liking the guy a whole ton, but he just hasn't been the otherworldly type of player that maybe guys have always tried to put on him. It seems like he's always maybe a year behind what the actual prognosticators say. They say, oh, this year he's going to be MVP caliber. Yeah, okay, he's a Pro Bowler. The year before, maybe his rookie year, oh, he's going to be runaway rookie of the year. He played well, but it's not like he set the world on fire. He completed 54% of his passes his rookie year. Oh, I guess what I'm just trying to say is we were given a bill of goods that this guy was going to be the next Hall of Fame can't miss quarterback, and he still has a chance to grow into that. I mean, he still has a lot of years left in his career, even though he's our age. It just doesn't quite seem like, especially with these injuries piling up, like he has been exactly what has been advertised. Maybe I'm being a little harsh, but I mean, if you had to look at their careers, I mean, Russell Wilson has had an exponentially better career than Andrew Luck, and he barely got any of the praise coming out of college. Drafted in the same draft, he's a 3rd round pick, and obviously it helps when you have a defense like he did and had, went to a couple Super Bowls, won one of them. But even looking at last year's numbers, I you can say Russell Wilson's been a better quarterback just over the entirety of his career.
I will say this. I'm going to defend him a little bit because coming out of the 2012 draft, people were saying that he was the highest rated quarterback since John Elway, and that's high praise. John Elway was the best that they've ever had come out of any draft. Now, going in with shoes to fill like that is a lot, and he had a lot on his plate and a lot maybe unfairly, relating him to John Elway. Like, let him be his own player. He went into a crappy situation with the Colts after, going, 1-15 or something like that with Peyton Manning being out for the entire year. So he really went into a situation that wasn't great. He does have weapons in T.Y. Hilton and Eric Ebron, but he's had some unfortunate luck with 1, injuries, and 2, his coaching. His coaching has changed. Chuck Pagano was a terrible coach. I like him as a person, but I don't like him as a head coach. I think he's better as a defensive coordinator, but he's had a lot of offensive coordinator changes, head coaching changes. And when Chuck Pagano went down went out for a while because he had cancer, had leukemia, that probably also hurt his growth in the league. And he really hasn't had the playmakers. I mean, if you look at it defensively, since his entire career, they haven't had playmakers on that side of the ball. Defensively, they've been atrocious ever since he's been there. So he's really had to pick
a couple good rookies.
Huh?
And a couple good rookie playmakers.
Yes, last year. But that's why they're starting to come into their own. Right. But his entire career up to this point, not so much. And he's really had to pick up for the defense of being so atrocious, pick up his play on the offensive side of the ball. And we've seen him dealing with injuries, playing through injuries. And he's also been in a division that has been pretty competitive with Houston and now Jacksonville up there. I don't want to put too much of the onus on him, even though there is a lot that should be on him. But people also forget he took this team to an AFC championship a few years ago. So it's not like he's that far removed from being almost there. That if he wins that game against the Patriots, that's the Patriots or the Patriots, they beat everyone. But let's say he beats that Patriots team and goes to the Super Bowl. Do we say, okay, he is filling the shoes that we thought? Did he have to get one game further for us to not put this knock on him? And I think that's unfair.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. I mean, I am always on the side of, losing one game is not going to be a make or break career, but you always, look back and you say, oh, well, he didn't ever made it to a Super Bowl or he never did this or that. Well, it's like, well, if he made the title game, he got close enough. So I agree with your reasoning there. I guess it's just, I don't know, like you said, he was the most hyped guy since John Elway. Everyone's like, oh, the next John Elway. I mean, it's Stanford. It's perfect. He's going to be, one of the Pantheon type guys. And he just hasn't quite gotten that far. And like I said, he hasn't had great defenses around him, and he's had his injury issues, and he's still got a lot of time left. So I'm not trying to bury him, but I'm just wishing we could see that maybe transformative MVP type season from him coming up this year.
And I think we could. I think he's right there. He's finally healthy. He had a full season without going out with injury. He's got pieces in place now defensively and offensively that are starting to mesh a little bit more. I think they need one or two more playmakers on either side of the ball, but they can get that. And I think that they're going to be competitive, especially in that division. I think that Andrew Luck could be that bounce back candidate of, really becoming an MVP type caliber. He is a Pro Bowler caliber, but he needs to take that next step. And I think this year could be that, maybe next year. But like I was saying, I don't want to completely let him off the hook. I think there are things that could be different that he could have done to be able to take his team to that next level. But he does play very well. We've seen him in tight situations. He needs to win to get to the big one, but I'm not going to knock him on that. And he just needs to stay healthy. He had one of the worst neck injuries we've seen ever in the NFL. This guy almost had to retire because of it. So had he not, taken a full year off, taken half a year off, and really just let his body heal, we might not have Andrew Luck in the league anymore. We would have said he would have been a huge disappointment. But I think now that he's fully healthy and took that time, I think it's early, but we need to give him time to really develop into what we think. But it's got to happen in the next couple of years. I think he has to take that next step.
Yeah. To some guys looking for contracts, getting contracts. I guess the biggest one right now is Ezekiel Elliott, the superstar running back for the Dallas Cowboys, currently in Mexico, apparently, training away.
Yeah, training.
Getting his.
Why do you have to train in Cabo?
Things at one time. I mean, you can hit the treadmill and do some cone drills, and then train your alcohol tolerance.
I sent all my Cowboy fan friends this picture of him training in Cabo. I don't understand, why does he have to go to Cabo to train? Like, how is that a remote destination for training ability?
Right, variety is the spice of life, Bobby, and he is trying to get more things done than just go into. They're in Oxnard, right? Yeah, they're in Oxnard.
Yeah, Oxnard. I told you last week, I'm really worried about this, man. I really think that it's a problem, the fact that they that the Le'Veon situation happened last year. I think a lot of guys are looking at that, oh, well, I can just sit out and do whatever I want for the whole year even, and I'll get paid. Le'Veon did it. He stayed healthy. He didn't have to put his body on the line. He got paid.
Zeke would sit out some games?
Huh?
Do you think Zeke would sit out some games? He hasn't really.
Oh, absolutely. I think he would.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, wait, hold on. Breaking news. I just saw a commercial for ESPN 8 The Ocho on August 7th. What have I not heard about this yet? You've
never heard of this? They do it every year.
What? Really?
Yes, but it's usually on August 8th, which I'm very confused as to why it's August 7th.
It's 8. Oh. Is it?
It's 8/8 every year.
Maybe there's something important on 8/8.
Maybe there's.
Sorry to totally derail the Zeke train, but I was just.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I think it goes a full 24 hours, so maybe it goes into 8/8. But yeah, it's fantastic. They have dodgeball. They have like the World Tekken competition.
Tekken.
Last year they had Street Fighter. World Championships in Vegas, so it's great.
All right.
Dropkick soccer.
Yes. All right, back to Zeke. Sorry, Zeke. We ruined your moment. But it seems like, we obviously had Le'Veon last year. We have Melvin Gordon threatening to hold out an entire year. Zeke hasn't necessarily spelled that out in so many words, but he's obviously not at training camp. He's in a different country. Do we see any possibility of him sitting out games or even an entire season? For me, it doesn't seem like he's willing to do that, go that far. I think he knows he has leverage over Jerry, just because Jerry, he's always trying his very best to win. He maybe isn't quite as strategic. He's more emotional in his decision making when it comes to these type of things. And even though Jerry said, a couple of days ago that you don't need the league's leading rusher to win a Super Bowl, I really think they're just trying to negotiate through the press right now. And I think eventually Zeke is going to win this battle. And truth be told, I think he deserves it.
Yeah. I mean, I think he deserves it too, and I think he's going to get that contract. I don't think Jerry's going to let it get out of hand, but I honestly think that both Melvin Gordon and Zeke Elliott are willing to let it go into the regular season. Now, let's see how much they want to hold on to that, because, to each his own. Maybe they want to be there if they think that their teams are championship level and they want to be a part of that. Maybe they'll get back sooner. But a lot of these guys, like, we saw it with Le'Veon. Everyone would have thought the Steelers were Super Bowl contenders, and he was willing to sit out the whole year because he cared more about the money. So, and I can't knock him for that. You want everyone to get paid, but I really worry that the Le'Veon situation tainted what will happen going forward with these players. I really do.
Yeah. Just to contrast Melvin Gordon and Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, I think Zeke is much more important to Dallas than Melvin Gordon is for the Chargers.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So I think he has a lot more leverage in that point, because I think Dallas is not totally lost, but they lose a huge part of what they do if Zeke is gone. They don't have a like replacement. Whereas, the Chargers, they have Eckler. He's not the same guy as Gordon, but I mean, their passing attack is much more potent with Phillip Rivers there. So I think Zeke will probably get something close to what he wants. I think they'll probably hammer out a deal. I would say, I don't know, next week or two. I just think Jerry's going to want to get this thing done. He's going to want to get his boy into Oxnard. And, hey, I think, I don't know if it was a CBS Sports thing or something, but they did a Madden. They always do the Madden simulation. Winner of the Super Bowl, the Dallas Cowboys. It's never, it's never.
Is that who won?
Yeah, it's who won the Super Bowl.
Who were they up against?
Last year they had the Jacksonville Jaguars win the Super Bowl.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. So don't think that.
Why don't you just always put the Patriots there? Like they should be there every single time.
People would be like, wow, look at Madden. They did it again. Bobby, I know, speaking of Madden, you're not exactly 100% off the hype train, but you've been kind of a disillusioned Madden fan of the past couple of years. How are you feeling going into, I guess it releases in a couple of days here?
I honestly don't care. Like, yeah. I like Madden. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's fun. Like, I actually been playing it recently over the last 2 weeks. Me and my buddy did a fantasy draft season, and I'm terrible at it. I forgot how bad I am at Madden. I have it on All Pro too, not even all Madden, and like I'm still losing. So, it's fun. Like, don't get me wrong. I really enjoy fantasy drafting and playing out a season. And I also love the story mode. What is it? The long shot. Yeah, long shot.
Yeah.
I really like that series. But other than that, it's the same exact game as the year before. Every single time. Just updated rosters. Like,
now they have the run pass option though. So that's like a big thing.
Oh, hey, that's cool. But I'm not going to be jumping to the shelf to go buy it. It's a fun game. And if I was better at it, maybe. But I'm trash at it, and why would I want to go buy a game that, to me, it's the same game? To others, there's different things, but I don't know enough about those other things to care.
Speaking of games, I just officially finished Red Dead 2 the other day.
I still haven't finished it. Halfway through.
Oh, going on the ride, Bobby.
Yeah.
Have you managed to avoid spoilers or no?
Yeah, I know something about don't let someone cough in your face type thing.
Right. Okay,
But
I know that part. I knew that part too because I got spoiled. That part spoiled, and it still hits you. And then the epilogue. The epilogue is, I mean, it's just
that I haven't heard anything like that. But
let's just.
I need to finish playing it.
You start playing as an old friend. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Marston. So,
did you let him cough in your face or no?
Oh, you can't. It's part of the story. It's part of the.
You can't avoid it.
Can't avoid it.
Oh, I thought you could.
No, I mean that.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, interesting.
Yeah. No. It's very good.
Yeah.
I mean that and Red Dead 1 are best games ever in my opinion.
Sorry, I got a commercial going on accident in the background.
Oh,
so I have a ton of games that I bought over the last year and have played each of them maybe a quarter of the way through. So like God of War, Red Dead, the Division 2, Madden, basically every Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto. I've got all these games. I don't
think I've ever finished a game that hasn't been a Rockstar game.
Really?
The games I play a lot are like the Rockstar games, so Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead, and then sports games, and you obviously can't finish those. So I've probably put more time into like NBA 2K and Out of the Park baseball on computer, but with the amount of time I could do those, I guess like Civilization 5, 6, but games of that, but like story based, really only Rockstar.
Yeah, I just play a lot of Call of Duty, and then like Apex and online stuff with my friends. I don't really play the story mode. I like to play with people.
Yeah.
So, what can you do?
I'm a loner, so I like to just me and Arthur Morgan.
We got to play sometime. I always see you on there, but you never playing.
Come here, boy. Good boy.
When do you play?
What do I play?
When do you play? Like, because I always see you on there, but you're always just like on Netflix and chill.
Yeah, I mean I have 2 accounts, so that you might be looking at the one that Bella uses.
Oh, I see. So you're too cool to give me your real account.
No, I see when you're on there, so I think we're friends. But
I see you're watching me, but not letting me see you. Right. Unbelievable.
I mean, after work sometimes, but if you want to start a posse in Red Dead 2, I'm all into that. So let's do it.
But yeah, no. Back to the info.
Yeah.
By the time we talk next week, there will already have been an NFL game played. Granted, the Hall of Fame game, but how crazy is that to you? Like, how fast did this offseason go by, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think it went by fast. Like for me, I know, like I like the draft and I like free agency, but I'm definitely not as into it as you are. I'm more into the NBA offseason. Like I'm always following the NBA, whereas NFL, like I'll know stuff that's happened in the draft. I'll know, like I'll figure out where the guys that I liked went and who the Raiders got, all that stuff. But I won't like obsess over it. I won't watch the combine. Like I'll just kind of read like some of the big stories. So I'm not like totally focused in like I am for the NBA and MMA year round. So I mean, it still has felt fast. But it always seems like from the Hall of Fame game to the regular season still feels like 3 months, even though
it feels like forever. But at least we have like something. It's not much, but it's something to watch. Like once you get to week 3 of the preseason, then it starts to roll by. It's those first couple weeks where the starters don't really play. Week 3, when you get about the half a game type play out of your starters, then it starts to be like, okay, we're here, we're getting there, and fantasy draft starts. I think the thing that makes it last longer is a lot of fantasy drafts aren't until the end of that 3rd week. So you're like really excited waiting for that to happen. So I think that's what gets in the way. I think otherwise, if we didn't have fantasy, it would be going by like that. Yeah.
You still haven't invited me to your new fantasy league there, Bobby. You're afraid? You're pretty afraid, aren't you?
I don't have another one.
You're not doing fantasy this year?
I am, but I'm in a couple leagues that I've been in for years. But we'll see. We'll talk.
Yeah. All right.
Tired of beating you.
I know. it does get exhausting. But I just love being a punching bag. It's just one of my favorite things.
Right.
All right, let's take a little break. When we come back, we have some more NFL stuff to go over. We have some MMA stuff, some NBA stuff, but we'll come back, talk some more pigskin when we come back. This is Club in the Goods, YouTube and Spreaker. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Club in the Goods on Spreaker
Hi there, Alex Klepper from Club in the Goods here. Seeing as how Bob and myself are just getting this whole thing started again, we thought we'd reach a hand out to you across the interwebs, unfurl that hand slowly yet assuredly, and slowly caw into your ear. Got any change, bruh? Now see, Bobby and myself are both hardworking men, but this is still a hobby. And you know, maybe one day we'd like it to be a little bit more. Well, that's where you come in, my friend. If you or your business is looking to get your name out there to the millions of Kleppiacs and Goodsians out there, now is your chance. Shoot me an email at abklepper@gmail.com or reach out to me on Twitter and let's talk business. Cool? Cool. Now back to Club in the Goods on Spreaker Radio. Welcome back to Club in the Goods. Bobby Goodsby is on the phone. I come back from going to the bathroom and he's calling me. 1 second. Stop up. Oh no. All right. Bobby's having technical issues. He'll be right back. See you, Bob. So we will trek on without him for just a minute here. Bobby just given wonderful praise to his brand new iMac just half an hour ago. Now it freezes. Bobby, what have you been doing on that thing? All right. So Ezekiel Elliott, we talked about Jerry Jones' comments. He talks about him possibly holding out. We talked about him taking his talents to Cancun. I always get those two confused. Let's see. They're in Mexico. A potential another negative to the story of Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys. Ronnie Bernard Hill of Frisco, Texas, today, or I guess no, last year, filed a suit for $20 million against one Ezekiel Elliott, saying that a car accident that happened in 2017 was covered up by both the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys and the Frisco, Texas Police Department, alleging Mr. Hill was in an accident with Ezekiel Elliott, saying that the accident was much worse than what had been said by the authorities and by the Dallas Cowboys, and that they covered it up so he wouldn't have to go through the concussion protocol and wouldn't have to miss the game. Apparently, according to Ronnie Bernard Hill of Frisco, Texas, he said that the cars had to be pulled apart, that they were embedded in each other pretty much, and he was also injured in the accident, and he's seeking $20 million. So we'll see what kind of evidence he has. It's another strange story in the saga of Ezekiel Elliott in his time in the NFL. Obviously an otherworldly talent, but maybe not the off the field issues that someone like Tyreek Hill has or Ray Rice has had. But mean, these things start piling up, and you kind of see a pattern. It's a little bit like John Jones in the UFC, not showing himself to the best customer there. A couple of extensions to talk about. Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks, a star linebacker. He is getting a brand new extension. Really the leader of their new defense, trying to keep that Seattle Seahawks defense ticking along after the Legion of Boom has gone by the wayside. If I can find the statistics for that extension, I will get them to you. Let's see here. According to OregonLive.com, $54 million over 3 years contract extension for one of the best linebackers in the league. He's a very versatile player, 29 years old, has been to multiple Pro Bowls in his career. So Seattle, it seems like they obviously had some bad luck with the Cam Chancellor situation. He was a huge cog in the Legion of Boom and being one of the best defenses in modern NFL history. Richard Sherman took his talents to their bitter rival in San Francisco, even though he's not what he once was. Earl Thomas breaks his leg, has the extended drama with Pete Carroll and company there. So Bobby Wagner, really the last lone stalwart from the championship days of at least being a top tier Pro Bowl style player. So Bobby Wagner, 29 years old, getting that money, and he's earning it because he's one of the best linebackers in the game. So good for him. Bobby is still not there. Bobby's computer has definitely not been the computer that he was talking up. Tisk tisk. I mean, I have a 2011 MacBook Pro. I've had to put in a new hard drive, a new logic board, new RAM, and it's working pretty well. No restarting for me, Bobby. I don't know what you're doing. All right. So as we wait for Bobby, we'll talk some more extensions. The Los Angeles Rams, formerly the St. Louis Rams, we like to mention that every once in a while, just so the good people of St. Louis, and for the Los Angeles Chargers, we can talk about San Diego. Got their teams ripped away from them. So they're still part of that community in some ways. They are extending a couple of the architects of what has been a resurgence for the Rams. Sean McVay and Les Snead both getting contract extensions. The wunderkind head coach of the Rams, Sean McVay, the general manager in Les Snead. Les Snead has really proven himself to be almost a home run hitter, but so far he hasn't had a lot of strikeouts, so I can't say he's a three true outcome type of player if you're talking about GMs, but he's definitely going for a big contract. Scott Ndamukong Suh last year to play alongside Aaron Donald, got them to the Super Bowl, going for big contracts and doing it while Jared Goff has that rookie contract still. And very smart. He really is kind of at the forefront of doing that and kind of showing people that is the way to best put forward an NFL team. When you have at least a competent NFL quarterback who is making rookie money, you pay everyone around him. You get as many talented guys as you can and get that 2 to 3, maybe 4-year window in before you have to start paying everyone. And that's what Dallas is trying to do. We talked about that with Ezekiel Elliott. So Les Snead, he is getting a contract extension, as is Sean McVay. Sean McVay still seems like he's still younger than half of the league. I know that's not actually true. 33 years old. Sean McVay getting a contract extension. One of the best, brightest young coaches in the NFL. Really, I mean, I don't know if you can say there's ever been a coach this young that has made this big of an impact, because you looked at the Rams before he came there, and that was a downtrodden franchise. Obviously, coming from the Jeff Fisher days, it's not a huge surprise. But Sean McVay, almost like a Bill Belichick or Andy Reid, this is a guy that comes to franchises, or at least has done so for the Rams, comes to franchises and totally turns them around. He didn't have the best Super Bowl performance. Not a lot of people on the Rams did.
Can you see me?
Oh, Bobby here.
Sorry, my computer restarted on itself.
I was saying that you were talking up your computer, your brand new spanking computer, all glossy and all beautiful, and you had trouble getting in at first, and now it restarts on you. I mean,
I set up a timer.
I'm not seeing the results from it, Bobby.
I set up a timer for Tuesdays for it to 10:45 to update itself and restart itself. And of course, I forgot that we have a show on Tuesday. So to turn off that timer, and in the background, it was counting this whole time. And I did notice, and all of a sudden it just shuts down. I'm like, oh crap, the timer, I forgot to turn it off.
Well, at least it happened while we're on a commercial break, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it tried. It really tried.
It tried.
We can blame whoever was visiting in town for this, because
Exactly.
we had last night. We would have.
Dang it, Mom.
Mom, come on. Moms always ruin everything. They're there during the good times. They're there during the bad times. They're just there.
They're there. They're there.
Yeah. Just talking about Sean McVay and Les Snead getting contract extensions for the Rams. You know, I think no-brainer deals. Both guys have shown themselves to be kind of ahead of the curve. Sean McVay still being 33 years old, being as good of a coach as he is, and Les Snead showing himself to be a home run hitter and hasn't had too many strikeouts so far. It helps when you have a quarterback who is on that rookie deal, but he's been able to go after some big time, big contract players, and it's worked out for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really agree with the Sean McVay sentiment. I think that he has been an amazing head coach, and at such a young age, what he's been able to accomplish. Well, last year, he was able to get to the Super Bowl, albeit they kind of paid to get to the Super Bowl. They had talent there, but they also brought in a lot of big name talent on some big heavy duty contracts. This year, they're going into a season with a few of those guys gone and doing it with a less fulfilled roster, in my opinion. But I still think they're going to be one of the top contenders going into the season. That I just feel like it's going to be a huge year for them regardless, and to see if they can take it to that next step. Now, this is the year that I think Sean McVay earns that contract extension, because one, they're going into it with Gurley injured. No one knows but them what kind of impact this injury is going to have on him. And heck, they might not even know to the extent of how available is he going to be in the first few weeks, and to what level are they going to be able to play him going forward in the season. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out. But if they're able to do it and play at a high level and say go 12-4 or 13-3 with Gurley either out or off and on injured, I think that will really show his prowess at the coaching ability, at the coaching stance for how good of a coach he is and what he's able to accomplish. I think Les Snead is very deserving as well. He brought in McVay, a young guy that, you know, a lot of people had high praise for, but was really an unknown name going into the offseason that year when they brought him in. And everyone thought very highly of him, but he was still a young guy that was getting an opportunity, and he went all in with Sean McVay. So I think Les Snead has a lot of the credit, but I really, really want to see what they're able to do this year. Now that they don't have those big names, those big contracts, like a Ndamukong Suh, who are gone, and what they can accomplish this year without having those guys on their roster, and with, the Gurley situation. So this is going to be a very, very interesting year. And also, not to mention, Cooper Kupp. What's he going to be like coming back from the ACL tear? They're saying he's going to have a week 1 availability, but no one really knows if he'll be able to fully come back from that kind of injury. That's a big injury. A lot of guys do, but you never know. You never know if he can still play at a high level. So if they're able to accomplish anything close to what they were able to accomplish last year, both these guys deserve a lot of praise.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's going to be a very trying year for Sean McVay and company with the Todd Gurley knee situation, arthritis in his knees. I mean, what are they going to do game planning around him, both the training staff and the coaching staff? And then Jared Goff, I mean, can he bounce back from what was really a highlighting performance of what he still has to do to get to the level that he needs to be at in order to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback in the Super Bowl? Because he was not good. He had some bad throws, he had some bad reads, and just played pretty poorly all around. So with young quarterbacks like that, you kind of wonder if that's going to become a trend, or if it's going to become just a one hit, or a one-time bad situation. So Sean McVay, the coaching staff, they have to try to build those guys back up and have good strategies for how those guys are going to implement themselves in the offense. So yes, it'll be very interesting to see what he does with that big new contract, able to have have a couple of guys who he wants to try to mold in what they want to do. Other contract extensions, Kevin Byard, the safety, all-pro safety of the Tennessee Titans, got paid as well. Big money coming his way, $70 million, $70.5 million. Not all that guaranteed, obviously, but he has been a very solid player for the Titans, just 25 years old. I guess he's about to turn 26. First team All-Pro in his second year, which was 2017. Last year, still very good, but not quite the year he had in 2017, where he led the NFL with 8 interceptions, had 4 last year. Those 12 interceptions over the last 2 years are the most in the NFL in that time span. So guy coming into his 4th year, getting some big money, and I think he deserves it.
Yeah, very deserving contract.
One of, if not the best defensive player, maybe the best overall player on that team.
Yeah, definitely. And a team that, they're defensively, they're not far off. They have a lot of good pieces in place. Offensively, they're trash and have nowhere to go when you have Mariota as your quarterback. Shots fired.
You're not listening.
Yeah, Mariota, I'm sorry, you're trash. But as far as defensively, with what they're able to do, I think Byard has a lot of potential in this league. And if he can stay healthy and continue to play at a high level, I think he's very deserving of that contract. And we'll see what he's got left in the tank going forward for this year.
Yep. Couple of suspensions. Golden Tate and Taylor Lewan both suspended. I believe both were 4 games for different indiscretions. I mean, look, Golden Tate. Is Golden Tate signed with the Giants? Is that my imagination, or where did he sign with?
Golden Tate. He's on the Giants.
Yeah, he's on the Giants. Okay, the Giants, they're not going to do anything anyways. So does it really matter? Golden Tate, he's one of those guys where he's going to get like 800 yards. He's going to get 5 touchdowns, and he's going to have some weeks where he'll win you a fantasy game. He'll have some times where you think that he's going to do some bigger things. And really, since he left Seattle, he hasn't. I mean, he's just been up and down. And maybe this is just me having him on my fantasy team last year and just being very, very annoyed at his inconsistency. He's had 3,000-yard seasons in his career. Last year, combined with Detroit and Philadelphia, had just under 900 yards. So he's suspended for 4 games. I just, with Odell Beckham Jr. no longer there, with Eli Manning another year older, with the whole drama with Eli Manning and Daniel Jones, and I mean that place is just, I mean, you can say with no tongue in cheek that the Giants are a worse run organization than the Jets right now, and I don't think that this really will do much to help them, obviously, but it won't do much to hurt, because you can't really go much further down than what they're training to do, just because Saquon Barkley will have a couple of games where he wins them that game because he is that good. Everything else across the board, I mean, this has not been a team that has good fortunes, and I know a lot of people, myself included, think that Daniel Jones will not be the answer at quarterback for them, and Eli Manning is no longer the answer at quarterback either. So really, until they get that situation handled, stuff like this won't really matter, in my opinion.
Excuse me, Daniel Jones, Dynasty League champion. If you're in a dynasty like me, shout out to the Dynasty League that I suck at, but I'm gonna destroy this year.
Daniel Jones.
This is year 2. No, I'm not going anywhere near Daniel Jones. Spoiler alert for those of you guys listening: I'm not going for Daniel Jones, so you guys can keep him. But I will get to that in a later podcast when I do my fantasy podcast coming up this weekend on Sunday. I'm going to be doing that fantasy podcast, so be sure to check that out. I will have that up where I break it down round by round. What's the best strategy for a standard PPR format league? What is the best draft depending on your draft position? And I'll break down each individual draft position and what's the best route for you to go at your position. So that'll be coming up on Sunday this weekend. So check that out Sunday night. Okay, like I was saying, I think that Golden Tate, it's kind of crazy to me to think that he has been in the league for a decade.
Yeah.
Like, this guy has been in the league for a decade. We've seen him in Seattle, on the Lions, Eagles and now with the Giants. And I thought it was a genius idea for him at the time to sign with the Giants. One, they have Sterling Shepard, who is a solid number 2, but I could never see him at the number 1 spot on any team. Mm-hmm. And then they had really no one else besides Evan Ingram, who's the tight end, to really go offensively for that team outside of obviously Saquon Barkley. So I really loved him signing there because I thought he could be the number 1 guy or a number 2A, 2B with Sterling Shepard. And I thought it was a great spot for him. And then the idiot goes and gets busted for PEDs. Like, what is he thinking? So we saw what happened with him on the Eagles. He actually had a couple of good games. We saw him basically win a playoff game for the Eagles last year. So I still think he has a lot left in the tank and can take this team to the, maybe not to the next level or take them to the playoffs, because I don't think they're coming anywhere near that. Mm-hmm. But, with Saquon there, he can win games for you single-handedly. And all Golden Tate has to do is be a reliever and really just help, take the pressure off of Peyton Manning. They don't have the knucklehead in Beckham Jr. there anymore. And Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, and Golden Tate's not a terrible, receiving corps. We've seen worse in this league. So I thought it was a great signing with him. It's 4-game suspension. It's not, a huge suspension, but it is going to hurt them going forward and starting off that season. And Sterling Shepard's already has I think a pinky injury or a finger injury. So I'm really bummed that he took PEDs and got busted for it, and that he's going to face a suspension, because I think that's going to really hurt the Giants. But going forward in this league, I think that he has a good place with the Giants.
Over under 4.5 games being the Browns having more wins than the Giants. So Giants plus 4.5, over under Browns wins.
Say that one more time.
Sorry. Okay. So if the Giants win 3 games, the over under is 4.5. So that means if it would be over, that means the Browns win 8. What do you take, the over on that, or do you take the under? Do you think the Browns win more or less than 4.5 games more than the Giants?
The Browns win more than 4.5 games over the Giants.
And yet you say Odell's a knucklehead.
Oh, he's a knucklehead, but he's a hell of a talent.
Yeah.
He is a great player. And I love. I don't know why the Browns are the only ones who thought to do this, but bringing him with Jarvis Landry, they're not going to be, divas and hating playing with each other or make it all about them. They are like brothers. They are, best friends. And so they are going to be playing and really trying to outdo the other one, but at the same time have a friendly rivalry. Not where it's like, oh, you gave that guy 2 more receptions than me, I'm pissed. Like, if he's going to go to a situation, this is the best situation for him. So I easily see both these guys going for over 1,000 yards this season. Not even a question. That's why Baker Mayfield is going to be a fantasy darling this year.
Yeah.
I think the Browns as an organization, they are playoff contenders, if not championship contenders. I really believe that.
Yes.
I don't think they'll get anywhere close to the Super Bowl, but they could. I could be wrong on this.
Yeah.
Like, they could be there. And it's crazy to think they're only 2 years removed from going 0-16. So, and talking about Browns actually being contenders is just crazy. But we've seen what they've been able to lock and load with the defensively. We've seen what they've been able to bring in with their, wide receiver talents. Nick Chubb's really coming to his own. Baker Mayfield, the number 1 pick from a year ago. This team is going to be badass, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I think they're going to be one of the most exciting teams on the field this year. Now, watch them get off to an 0-3 start, and everyone starts losing their damn mind, because if that happens, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But I don't see it. I think they're easily going to win their division, and I think they win the division by at least 2 or 3 games.
Bobby, have you ever seen the show Now or Never on ESPN2?
No, I have not.
Like a couple of guys and one girl, they're like sitting on a couch. It's like what they pretty much tried to do with like ESPNU 10 years ago. And it just, I don't know. Is this what the Gen Zers want? They want people sitting on couches late night talking about sports? Is that what's cool nowadays? I don't know. I thought it was YouTube stuff, but maybe not. I agree. I think I think the Browns are going to be extremely fun to watch. I mean, they have weapons all over the field. Freddie Kitchens himself is a character as a coach. I like some of the stuff he does. I think he's one of those no music guys, which is strange to me. But he seems. Besides that, I like everything he does. I like his introductory press conference. And they're going to be a very, very fun team to watch. And yes, I would go over 4.5.
Okay, who do you think's winning that division? The Browns division. We got the Steelers, the Ravens, the Bengals, or the Browns. Bengals are clearly out of it.
Yeah, Bengals are number 4, 100%.
Lamar Jackson is trash. He is not throwing for more than 1,500 yards this year. I am telling you that.
We had a discussion last week, and I happily took over 1,500 yards passing.
He will rush for 1,500 yards, but he is not passing. He is not passing for over 1,500 yards.
We just remember we have this locked in already, so you can't.
Yes, this bet is in. This guy is not. He is a terrible quarterback. Terrible.
He started.
I hope I'm wrong.
He started 7 games last year, and he had 1,200 yards passing.
I mean, I love Hollywood Brown. I hope I'm wrong because he needs to get the ball from somebody. But I hate Hollywood Brown fantasy-wise because he has one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Him and Mariota are right there. Right there.
How dare you?
And I'm not even saying they're the worst, but they're right there of like just not good.
Can I say the next guy who I'm thinking we're talking about bad quarterbacks? Chris Sylvester is going to cry himself into his pillow. He loves Mariota maybe more than any other quarterback. He loves Lamar Jackson, which I do too.
Why?
He loves
Mariota. We've seen what he just can't do anything at the level. He can't do anything in the NFL. I didn't like him coming out of college. He can't throw the ball downfield to save his life. He is not accurate. He is often injured. I just don't see the love.
Great at throwing touchdown passes to himself in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's perfect in the red zone for a reason, because he throws it maybe once or twice. That's it. Like, everyone's going on for a while. Oh, he's perfect in the end zone all through the season. Yeah, that's because if it's the guy's not open, then he runs with the ball and gets stopped 3 yards in. Like, he just is, he's not good. He's not a good player.
See, I can't argue with that, but I still have high hopes for Lamar. I liked what I saw sometimes. Other times I just decided to not trust what my eyes were telling me.
Lamar Jackson is Tebow 2.0.
Oh,
but Tebow was a better quarterback.
Oh,
Tebow was a better quarterback.
You're lucky.
Lamar Jackson
You're lucky you're like 400 miles away right now, Bobby Gisby.
I saw Lamar Jackson throw a 30-yard out route, and it was the worst throw I've ever seen in my life. Missed the guy by maybe 20 yards. 20 yards. I'm not joking.
When we go to our next break and we come back, I'm just going to throw up the Lamar Jackson at Louisville highlight video, and you're going to see some dimes being dropped, Bobby.
If you draft Lamar Jackson, you are losing in fantasy. Like, there is no chance. Okay, well, in fantasy, he's actually not terrible because of his rushing ability and rushing.
About 3 seconds to rescind.
Okay, I will say this, though. He's not terrible, but if you draft him as your starting quarterback, you are not winning a championship. I'm sorry. It's just not happening.
I don't believe you.
No. I will say this. I did win a fantasy championship with Tim Tebow as my quarterback.
Oh, my God.
So, maybe, things happen. Things happen. But I just don't have any faith in him.
My most lasting fantasy memory, besides getting second place in a row, like 5 years in a row, at one point, was when I won, and it was the LaDainian Tomlinson year. You know the year I'm talking about, when he had like 30 something touchdowns combined, like rushing and receiving. And I also had the Ravens defense, who I think had 6 return touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to be like that forever. I thought I was just going to be the king. I was like 13 years old. I'm like, my God, I'm a guru. I don't even think Matthew Berry was a thing yet, but I'm going to be the next Matthew Berry. And then it hasn't happened. But the new year, Bobby. That's why you're afraid to put me in your damn keeper league and your damn whatever league.
If we had availability, I would let you in, but there's no availability. People die in.
Oh, no.
It's like a game. You're either blood in or blood out.
Sounds dangerous. Maybe I want to stay away for at least a year. Yeah, I gotta enjoy a year of marriage before I can go into a league.
Fantasy championship.
I was wondering. I think you talked about that. Was it might have been last week or 2 weeks ago?
Let me
got married, but no,
let me just sit here and because I don't know anything about fantasy. I'm not a fantasy god or anything.
Well, I mean, we all knew that,
Bobby. So
Bobby.
You never answered my question though. Who do you think's winning that division? Browns.
You know what? No, I can't do it. You know what? Yeah, I will do it. At 10-6, the co-winner of the AFC North will be the Baltimore Ravens. And the Cleveland Browns.
And the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, both 10-6.
So then who wins the division?
I don't know the tiebreakers. They're both 10-6. The tiebreaker,
they can't just both go to playoffs. There can't just be a 17 playoff.
Tiebreakers, Bobby. I don't know the tiebreaker. They might lose a tiebreaker.
Oh, damn.
It's probably just going to be Roger Goodell flipping a coin.
You're just high on both of them and don't want to pick a favorite.
I picked the Ravens just because I want to spite you because I'm rooting for Lamar. I think probably most likely it'll be Cleveland, which is a very strange thing to say.
And that really, it's crazy to think that we don't even see Pittsburgh as a contender because, I mean, they have Juju. They have James Conner. I would say John Connor. Dang it, Terminator really screwed me. James Conner. They have Ben still. The thing is Juju a number one? Is he a number one wide receiver? We don't know.
He played fantastic last year.
He played fantastic, but we don't know. He had AB there. And even when AB, wasn't playing great, he still played well.
Pittsburgh knows how to do it's drafting wide receivers.
I just never understood why he was so high on all these mock fantasies. Like, I get it, he's a good player, but I don't know if he can be the number one. I'd be happy to be proven wrong. I think I could be proven wrong. I don't think he's by any means not able to. I just question if he is a number one receiver.
I mean, he's been in the league 2 years. He's had 917 yards in 1426. He's had 14 total touchdowns. Now, granted, he's been playing with AB, but I mean, it's still going to be a prolific offense. They still have James Conner. They have Big Ben. I mean, I think he can be a number one. He may not be a top 5 in the league, but he can be a number one, I think, for sure.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. We have any more NFL stuff? Mike Daniels released by the Packers, signs with the Lions. Probably playing with.
I found that as an interesting move by them. I was very interested that LaFleur was cutting one of his best defensive players.
I was very interested in the fact that Mike Daniels still thinks that Matt Patricia is like this defensive genius. I mean, his praise for Matt Patricia when he signed there was like he just signed up with Jesus. I mean, it didn't make much sense to me how excited he was. I'm like, have you seen Detroit play the last year or two? But hey,
the Lions will always be the Lions. Defensively, they look okay. But they lost Ziggy Ansah. Like they're just not going anywhere anytime soon. They'll always be right there at the bottom to the middle. Like there's a middle and then there's a bottom middle, and they'll always be right in that area.
Like 6-10 to 9-7, somewhere around there, in that range.
Yeah.
Maybe like in a very serendipitous year where everything goes all together, they'll make the playoffs as a wild card, but nothing more than that. It's just they want to take it easy in Detroit. Nothing too big. I want to shout out all the people talking in the comment section. We got some people talking. We got some people. We do. So
I need to load these comments up. So
yeah, you do. You do, Bobby.
I can't see them. So I have a bunch of. Oh. Hold on, I just accidentally loaded and I can hear myself talk.
Mute it and you can see it.
There we go. My Dynasty League is watching the show right now. So,
well, hey, if one of you dies, I'm getting your spot. Just FYI. Yeah. Bobby said someone's going to die. I don't want it to be you if you're listening, but whoever's not listening.
Okay. Let me ask you this. In fantasy this year, the top 3 guys going into this fantasy year are Saquon, Zeke, and you can really kind of let's say top 5: Zeke, Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and then whoever you want to throw at fifth, Le'Veon, maybe even Todd Gurley. Who do you have as your top out of all of them? Are you on the Saquon train like everyone else? Like, who was your top three?
I think if Zeke signs within the next week or two, I think if he has like a close to full training camp, I think Zeke is number one. Just because he's got a more of a complete team around him. He's still going to get all the touches that he's been used to. And I mean, when he has been not suspended and healthy, I mean, he has been an absolute workhorse. He's been a guy who's good for close to 100 yards a game, if not 150 or 200. So I think he's number one. Saquon is a very high upside number two. I think he could very easily become the number one guy in the entire NFL for fantasy. I worry with the quarterback situation and with their wide receivers getting injured, getting traded away, and getting suspended. So he can't do everything. I think they're going to do a lot of dump outs to him, and I'm afraid that if defense is really key on him, there's a chance for injury because they're really going to be able to stack the box against him and not be too afraid of what Eli Manning can do. I mean, Melvin Gordon, that's, I think, unless same thing with Zeke, unless he signs the next couple of weeks, he's a stay away. We saw a lot of people last year, and we saw Le'Veon Bell apologize for it, who drafted Le'Veon Bell and didn't exactly have the best the best time. I think a guy that people might be sleeping on just because he's been on a bad team the last couple of years. He had a big injury a couple of years ago. David Johnson, with Kyler Murray now being
trash,
the starting quarterback, I think David Johnson could get a lot of fantasy value. I think he could be top 5. He can be even that number 3 guy. He's been a guy that's shown when he has the capable parts around him, he can put up yards both through the air and on the ground to get some touchdowns. Now, he didn't have the best yards per carry last year, averaging 3.6 yards per toe. But if he can get 300 attempts and 50 catches, something like that, 300 plus touches between catches and rushes with a new offense when he's not playing with one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL and Josh Rosen, I think he can have a real bounce back potential to him. So I like those guys. Let's see here. I would stay away from Le'Veon. I think Le'Veon has a huge chance of just totally busting out, not in a good way, but like being a bust.
Yeah, Le'Veon absolutely scares me. I do not like him on the Jets. I love him as a player. I do not like him on the Jets. I love that he had a year off. I do not like him on the Jets. So it always comes back to he is a Jet, and that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah. If Cam Newton can figure out how to correctly throw a little sweep route, then I think that Mr. Christian McCaffrey can have an enormous year. But I don't trust Cam enough to be able to make the right reads and to be able to dump off correctly. So I'm afraid of him. I think there's going to be a big year from Tyreek Hill. I think he's going to just have a huge motor, a huge motivation to, give the peace sign 15 times this year. And I think he's really going to improve upon even what he did last year, which was a huge year for him. So I would say Tyreek is if you can stomach having him on your team, I think is a top 5, top 6 worthy pick. But if I had the number 1 pick, I'd go Zeke if he's not holding out.
Gotcha.
In a couple weeks.
So we do have a couple of questions asked in the chat. What are our thoughts on the Chris Mahegan asks, what are our thoughts on all the early injuries in training camp like AJ Green and LJ Collier? Honestly, we already talked about the AJ Green thing earlier in the show, but like I said, I think that's terrible for him and for that Cincinnati Bengals team because of the injury, especially since he can never stay healthy. As far as LJ, it's a high ankle sprain, I believe it was. So, suffers high ankle sprain. Time will tell. I mean, it's still early on in the preseason, so let's give it some time and see what he's able to come back from. As far as that, Sean Lee went down with an injury today, tweaked his knee at camp. They don't think it's serious, but man, talk about a guy who can never stay healthy. every time you look and Sean Lee is in the news, it's for some kind of injury. The guy was a hell of a talent a couple of years ago, and still plays at a high level, but he can't stay healthy. He is like peanut brittle of any player in the NFL. He's the most peanut brittle kind of guy.
Mr. Peanut or Mr. Brittle.
Right.
Yeah, you got some more questions there, Bobby. So you got thoughts on Matt Ryan?
Solid quarterback, gonna get destroyed week 1. But he's solid. I love that he's got a couple more weapons. And we saw what he was able to do last year with those weapons. I worry about Julio Jones because he is getting up there in age. He still plays at a high level, but I don't know if he's a first round potential still.
Mm-hmm.
So I worry about that for Matt Ryan, but he has pieces in place. I don't know. He's kind of a question mark to me. He's someone that I'm not targeting, but if he's there in like the middle to late rounds, I'm not opposed to it. But he's not one of my top contenders. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he had that one extraordinary year, obviously his MVP year, when he seemed like he might break that, top 5, top 3 quarterback fantasy guy. I think he's more just a steady. I'm not as worried about Julio Jones as you. I think he's going to be a marvel. He's going to be a guy that's continued to play at a top tier elite level for 3 to 4 to 5 years still. He's just that much of an athletic freak. This could have been what Megatron been like if he wouldn't have retired early, which is just another Detroit Lions strategy. But a guy I can't hold this back any longer. A guy that I like, Mr. Josh Jacobs. I'm looking for a big year out of the Rook in silver and black. Josh Jacobs. He's probably going to get hurt like 3rd week of the preseason, snap his leg in half, and John Gruden's going to play Nathan Peterman at quarterback, and everything's going to go all wrong. But right now, rose-tinted glasses on Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, no. We had a question: who are the best rookie running backs in this class? Yeah, I think Josh Jacobs has by far the best year. I think it's close though. I love that Montgomery kid from the Bears. I really do. I think that he could have a big year, especially now that they don't have Jordan Howard around. They still have Tariq Cohen, but I really think that this kid really has potential to step in day one and become that, rookie sensation we see every single year in this league. Every single year, at least 1 or 2 rookies jumps out and really solidifies themselves. We saw it a couple of years ago with, Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook and Saquon, and then last year we saw. No, sorry, Saquon was last year, but we see it every year. Last year we saw Saquon, we saw Kerryon Johnson, we saw Sony Michel, Nick Chubb. All these guys are now household names, and some of them were even 3rd round draft picks, 4th round draft picks. So to see what they're able to do and really turn a corner in their first year. Rookie running backs are really the thing of beauty when it comes to looking for that hidden gem. So everyone knows Josh Jacobs. He was drafted in the 1st round by the Raiders, and I love that he's on the Raiders. I think he's got a great potential there. But look out for Montgomery. I really think that kid's going to be a star as well in this league.
What I have one question for you, Bobby. Bryce Love, drafted by Washington, star at Stanford. I have just a terrible feeling that he had his best days of his not NFL, but football career at Stanford. He had some injuries there. He played through them.
Yeah, they really ran him to the ground.
They really did. I'm worried that he won't have the type of NFL career he could have had if he maybe had taken 50 less snaps throughout each of his college years. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that the unfortunate thing for him is they used the heck out of him at Stanford and really, I feel like wore up his good years. And we could be wrong. I mean, we've seen that happen in in college football before, and it translates to the NFL, and those guys still are able to play at a high level. But I do worry for him. Yeah. Do you have any hidden gems for the running back position for this year? Well, I guess I can't really say
Josh Jacobs. I also like Miles Sanders for the Eagles. I think it's kind of a crowded backfield back there, but I still like him. And also Darrell Henderson. That's another one I absolutely love.
Right? Yeah. Huh? He's from Memphis.
Yeah, but he's on the Rams, and he is going to probably fill in for Gurley if he goes out with any kind of injury. There's another guy ahead of him on the depth chart, but I still think this kid ends up getting the nod and really becomes a real fantasy sleeper. That if you're going to draft Gurley, take this guy in the late rounds. Try to sneak him in there, because if Gurley goes out with any kind of injury for any kind of time, then you've got this guy, and this guy is going to be a stud for you for the weeks that Gurley is out. So look for him. I really like him.
Yeah, I can't say there's any deep running back rookie sleepers that I have my eye on just yet. Next week, I'll have one that'll just blow your mind.
Okay.
All right, Bobby, but we've been on NFL for about an hour and a half.
Yeah,
now.
sorry.
we gotta get some MMA. We got some NBA, and there's a big trade today in MLB. We'll talk about that. This is Clupping the Goods. We are on live on YouTube and Spreaker. We'll be right back. Clupping the Goods.
Let's go, LP. Huh? Champ. So we gonna do Mick.
You're listening to Clupping the Goods.
I'm up at midnight, I'm dipping off in my knees like a gun on a metal piece. I've been this, I feel to my wrist.
Hi there, Alex Klepper from Clupping the Goods here. Seeing as how Bob and myself are just getting this whole thing started again, we thought we'd reach a hand out to you across the interwebs, unfurl that hand slowly yet assuredly, and slowly caw into your ear. Got any change, bruh? Now see, Bobby and myself are both hardworking men, but this is still a hobby. And maybe one day we'd like it to be a little bit more. Well, that's where you come in, my friend. If you or your business is looking to get your name out there to the millions of Kleppiacs and Goodsians out there, now is your chance. Shoot me an email at abklepper@gmail.com or reach out to me on Twitter and let's talk business. Cool? Cool. Now back to Clupping the Goods on Spreaker Radio. All right, welcome back, Clupping the Goods. About 25 minutes left here on a Tuesday. Normal Monday show, pushed back a day, but we are rolling along. A lot of NFL talk. We had that on our brains, Bobby. We've been waiting for training camps to start.
Mm-hmm.
Finally happens, and we broke right in and did some good NFL stuff. And Bobby, you dropped the bomb this Sunday, your fantasy football breakdown, draft position by draft position, round by round. Once again, give the good people an insight into what you're going to be doing on Sunday.
Yeah, so Sunday, I'm going to be posting a video on YouTube under the Slow Late Show Club in the Goods channel, where I'm going to go round by round and have a mock draft of each round, what positions, or mock draft round by round of what I think the best draft at each position will get you. And basically I'll be like, all right, if you have the first overall pick, this is each round, each position that would be the best value for you to take at each of those positions. Then I'll go with the second pick, third pick, fourth pick, all the way down to 12. It'll be a standard format league, PPR, which is now standard. And it'll be a PPR league. And yeah, you can just get in, watch the video, check it out, go to whatever draft position slot you want to go to. I believe I'll be able to have it listed out at what time I do each round so that you can just skip to it if you want to get to your specific draft spot. And yeah, we'll be able to check it out and see exactly what I believe the best format is. So tell your friends, tell your family, get on and check that out Sunday.
Yeah. Looking forward to that, Bob. Like he has shown many a time, has the championship rings to back up that talk. Look at that. That thing is shining.
And this
won
back-to-back years too.
My God, is that the all-seeing eye of Sauron on there?
That is what it is. Probably worth a good $5 online too. So,
but Bill Belichick still wants it. He'll trade you. He'll trade you one of his. All right, Bobby. So really quick. So MLB trade deadline. I think this is maybe the first time we've talked MLB or a couple of months back. But there was a big trade today. Bobby, a diehard San Diego Padres fan. Now, that's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I know he's a Padres fan, but Bobby is not exactly the MLB watching every single game. But he is a fan of the Padres. Bobby, some of your fellow Padres brethren on Twitter, I wouldn't say they had a meltdown, but they're very sad because they traded away maybe the franchise's most popular player in Franmil Reyes, a couple other guys as well, for a top prospect in what was the Cleveland Indians organization. Trying to find Taylor Trammell is going to be that guy. I think he's like number 12, number 14, something on Keith Law's top 100. He hasn't had a great year in Double-A, but the main part of this trade, Trevor Bauer, the I guess you could say controversial pitcher for the Cleveland Indians. He is heading to Cincinnati, which, I mean, sure, I guess Cincinnati, they're what, 5 or 6 games under 500.
Yeah.
It's not that far out from a wild card spot in the National League, where the Giants are 2 games over 500 and are, I think, 2.5 games out of that second spot as of coming into today. So I guess they're trying to go for it. And Trevor Bauer still has, I believe, another year or 2 before he hits free agency. So they're trying to get some years out of him. But Yasiel Puig going to the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland Indians also getting Franmil Reyes and a couple of relievers, Logan Allen and company. And then there was a couple, I guess, like 15 minutes after the trade was announced, Yasiel Puig ended up getting into a brawl in Pittsburgh. I don't know if it was, I guess, in Pittsburgh, against Pittsburgh. No, it was in Cincinnati. Pittsburgh won that game 11-4, but it was a big brawl between the Reds and the Pirates. So Yasiel Puig, this may end up being a very good trivia segment in 50 years, where someone asks, who got into a brawl as a member, or wearing this someone's jersey that they're no longer actually a part of that team, and the answer will be Yasiel Puig when he was traded from the Reds to the Indians. But that hopefully is just a preview of what is going to be a big day of trades tomorrow. Esteban Ramos, our fearless old producer, he commented on Twitter that he's thinking highly of the Mets right now. He doesn't want them to trade Noah Syndergaard, even though Noah Syndergaard has probably been the number 1 pitcher in the last week to really seems to be underlined that he will be traded. He's been talked about with a lot of different teams. So Esteban is hoping and praying that those Mets, who have won 5 in a row, will keep him. But I guess I could just hoping for some trades tomorrow so I can distract myself at work a little bit, Bobby.
Yeah, and as far as the Padres trade, it was very interesting. Kind of a bummer to see Reyes go. He was so much fun to watch when he's batting, but defensively, man, he was kind of a nightmare. So I just didn't think that he really fit to what the Padres were trying to do. And now they bring in Trammell, who is a young guy. He's 21 years old, hasn't been playing very well this year, but he's still young. And, he's a left-handed hitter, so maybe they can get him into the rotation and be one of the guys batting at the front, at the top of the lineup. So I think with Tatis and Machado there, he doesn't have to be the guy, but he can go in there and possibly start to swing this thing around and play better on a different team. He's got all the talent there. I don't know. I'm kind of bummed seeing Reyes go. I was very interested seeing the Reds get rid of Puig. That was kind of interesting to me, especially since they just paid for him to have that big contract. But yeah, it was kind of a weird deadline. There was a lot of trades that just didn't happen. Like I thought we were going to see more action, and we just really didn't.
Yeah, a couple of relievers going this way or that, but nothing too big so far. I guess Marcus Stroman going to the Mets could still be the biggest trade so far. But the Trevor Brower Yazio Puig one that just happened tonight was probably the most headline popping, since it involves Bauer and Puig, two of the more, I guess, quote unquote controversial players in the league. As I put on Twitter when I heard about the trade, I almost feel morally obligated now to secondarily root for the Indians, because my least favorite player in the league, I would say by far, is Trevor Bauer. I just do not like him. And Yazio Puig is one of my favorite non-A's. So the A's and Indians are deep in a wild card race. So I'm still rooting for the A's first. But
obviously,
I mean, if for whatever reason the A's don't get in, or they get bumped and the Indians are still there, I mean, look, if you're trading away my least favorite player and you're getting one of my favorite non-A's on the team, I feel like that's just all right. I understand what you're trying to get in my fandom. It's not going to be a full fandom, but it'll be a secondary, maybe a second or third team I'm rooting for in the playoffs. So good job, Indians. I applaud you.
My Padres really fell off the face of the earth this year. Like they were doing so good up until the All-Star break. Every year.
The NL West, besides the Dodgers, has been so strange, because each one of those four teams has had a stretch where it seemed like they were going to be a definite wild card team. I mean, to begin the year, the Diamondbacks were playing really well, and they kind of petered out. Now they're 2 games under 500. They've lost a couple games in a row to the Marlins. The Rockies had a huge run where they went from, I think, like 8 games under 500 to 10 games over, and now they're back under 500, a few games under 500. Had the Padres, like you said, they started off well, kind of were hovering around 500, but were mostly over it. And then, like you said, after the All-Star break have petered out. And now the Giants have just beaten everyone in their path, and looks like they're well on their way, maybe not even to trading Mad Bum, but to get a playoff spot. So the NL is crazy. I mean, the A's and Indians over in the AL right now have the top 2 wild card spots, and they're a dozen or so games above 500, and they're being chased tightly by the Red Sox and the Rays. Whereas the NL, I mean, you're 4 games over 500 and you're in a good spot to make the playoffs. So it'll be a fun race. Maybe not for every division, but for the wild card spots, it seems like it's going to be fun. So we'll see if teams pull any more deals with the deadline coming, I believe, noon tomorrow our time.
Yep.
MMA Bobby, UFC 240 happened this past Saturday from Calgary. Max Holloway defended his featherweight title in a pretty dominating fashion over Frankie Edgar. Nothing too surprising there. Frankie Edgar won a couple of rounds. He won 2 rounds in one judge's scorecard, 1 round another judge's scorecard, but it was unanimous for the champion Max Holloway. And then Chris Cyborg beating up Felicia Spencer, who showed herself to be very tough, taking a lot of punishment, but just not able to hang with Cyborg on the feet. And those were really the two fights that people were excited about. There was some, prospects and stuff, but no one that was really too high in anyone's list. I think Max Holloway just kind of solidified himself as, he lost to Dustin Poirier for the interim lightweight title a few months ago, but at featherweight, there is just really no one that is approaching him. Although the next fight against Alexander Volkanovski be interesting. I think Volkanovski's got more lively hands than Frankie Edgar does at this point in his career. Frankie Edgar being 37, he seemed to say he's still got a lot left in the tank. Interesting to see what he does with his weight situation, because he's, former lightweight champion, now fighting at featherweight, and he's still way smaller than Max Holloway. So, you would think that bantamweight would be his actual class, but he doesn't seem to want to cut that much weight. So, nothing too surprising at this last weekend show, Bobby.
Yeah, so many decisions. It was so boring. Like, there were some good fights, but it was still like I wanted to see some action, and this card was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Frankie Edgar put up the same performance I thought I would see out of him. He's just, he's just not the same fighter we know from a few years ago, and especially against this young talent, especially a guy like Max Holloway. He's not going to be able to take his career to that next level again, and I just don't see it in the cards for him. Max Holloway fought great. Who's left in the featherweight division for him? I even Volkanovski. I think Volkanovski is a very good fight for him, but I still have my questions there too. So as far as Cyborg did exactly what Cyborg does. I'm surprised she didn't get the stoppage.
Yeah.
Felicia Spencer really put up a good fight and good battle, but yeah, Cyborg once again did what Cyborg had to do, and I'm just ready. I want to see the rematch for her. I really do. I think we didn't get the full potential in the first fight. I think if we get a second fight, I think that's the fight everyone wants to see.
I partially agree. I mean, I want to see that fight again, but just the way that the UFC is handling this whole Cyborg situation, I am just so fed up with Dana White and what he tries to do with fighters and contract negotiations and everything else, whether it be George St. Pierre, whether it be Conor McGregor, now Cyborg, saying that Cyborg doesn't want to fight Amanda Nunes. He's scared. She's scared of fighting Nunes again. She doesn't want to do this. And so he's, if she doesn't want to do that, more power to her.
Who are either of those girls going to fight? Like, they have no one left to fight.
Well, I mean, Cyborg, if she goes to Bellator, they have the number 2 featherweight in the world that is not also a bantamweight champion there. So, I mean, that could be a prolific fight. I mean, it's not going to be a mainstream draw necessarily, but it's really her top competition in Julia Budd, who's 13-2. I believe she might have. I think she was Strikeforce and then went to Bellator. I mean, that would be Cyborg's pretty much best move competitively, at least just like someone that is going to be fighting full time at her weight class. But I mean, it seems like Nunes and Cyborg both want that fight again, but Cyborg also wants Dana White to apologize for some of the stuff he said, not only just recently about her not wanting to fight Nunes, but his comments way back when you talk about how she looked like a man and all this stuff, which, hey, more power to Cyborg, because the fact that the UFC is with ESPN and both Dana White and Joe Rogan, pretty much the two most well-known anyone associated with the UFC, saying, very, very sexist comments against Cyborg just because she's not, pretty like Ronda Rousey in a traditional sense. It shows, I mean, I guess it shows how the UFC has grown from more of a niche product to now be on ESPN. But I really think there needs to be, I'm glad Cyborg is kind of calling them out on it, even though it seems like Joe Rogan has apologized in the past. But it kind of highlights, like, look, you guys are still a little bit in the Stone Age with some of these things. And I wish ESPN would kind of see what's happening and say, you know what? Yeah, Dana White, you should apologize for that. Joe Rogan, you should apologize that in front of her and not just like on, in some article.
Yes. And there's no accountability. And with everything the ESPN claims that they stand for and being part of the ABC family, they need to put a stop to this. They need to be able to be like, okay, listen, this is not the organization we want to run or be a part of. So you guys need to go in there and make your apologies and make it be heartfelt, because it's not acceptable in this day and age or ever. And the fact that, she's fighting at a top level, and she's, she has a bigger physique for a woman, and has an appearance that, has some masculine features, but it's not her fault that she's built the way she is. She is, and she's a beast, and she knows it. And like, she dominates with the ability to, really use her tools of her trade to the best of her ability. And it's not a knock on her. So that's why I'm tired of them, kind of using this as something to talk badly about her, because she is great at what she does. So between that and the fact that I really think that the Nunes fight needs to happen. Nunes needs to be able to fight her again. She fought great against Cyborg last time she fought her, but I want to see this again, because one, who's Nunes got left to fight? And two, let Cyborg have this fight, and then once this fight is over, if she loses, let her go to Bellator and try that route. But she needs one more shot at this.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that would probably be the best possible solution. Give her one more fight. If she wins, then she can defend the title there, because I guess, Dana White has said the UFC has a champions clause where if you are a champion, you do not get to be a free agent no matter what. So if she wins, she'll probably stay in the UFC. If she loses, she can then go face Julia Budd in Bellator. Or maybe even go to Ryzen. She's not going to fight Gabby Garcia, who's 225 pounds, because they're besties. But she has some interesting fights if she goes to Japan as well. So Cyborg, she'll take her talent somewhere. She's a draw. She really is. I mean, when she main evented against Holly Holm, they did pretty good pay-per-view numbers, better than guys like Demetrius Johnson. So wherever she goes will be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see Amanda Nunes fight one more time as well. UFC on ESPN 5 coming up this weekend. Robbie Lawler and Colby Covington. We have a question from it says Natalie Zarco, but Natalie Zarco said this was someone else earlier in the chat. So Natalie, if it's you.
It's Kyle. It's
Kyle.
It's some random guy named Kyle.
Come on, Kyle. He's asking if Colby Covington is racist or an American hero. I mean, I think he's playing a part. He's definitely playing a part. I don't know if this is just his actual personality amplified, like Chael Sonnen was, or like Steve Austin was, or if this is just like a thing where he's like, well, I gotta be known for something. Might as well become a Trump guy. I don't know. We've heard stories about him, when he's not in the camera, he tries to turn it off. He tried to not fight Kamaru Usman in the buffet line in Vegas because Kamaru Usman did want to fight him. And he's like, hey, man, this is, we're not on right now. So I don't know. I mean, what he says is not good. I don't think he really goes out of his way to say anything necessarily racist, but I think associating yourself with some of the people he's associated with kind of gives that connotation. I definitely don't think he's an American hero, but he's making things interesting. And we talked about this last week, Bobby. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a travesty that he hasn't got that title shot, but he is definitely the guy who deserves the title shot against Kamaru Usman the most. He has done the most. He was the UFC welterweight interim champion, and that got stripped away because he didn't want to, kowtow to whatever Dana White wanted him to do, which has just become more and more of a trend over the past couple of years. So while I want to see Robbie Lawler win because I love Robbie Lawler, and it would be very satisfying to see Robbie Lawler knock out Colby Covington. If Colby Covington wins, look, he's got to be next in line. I know Jorge Masvidal had a very exciting 5-second win, but we went over this last week. I think Jorge Masvidal, if he fights Leon Edwards next on the co-main event of a card headlined by Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman, that is going to make a lot of storylines for the UFC, and it's going to set up a very exciting title fight, no matter who wins a fight between Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards. So that's both worlds.
Colby Covington is he's trying to draw a crowd. He's trying to be an entertainer, and I respect what he's trying to do. He knows that there's a lot of infamy and backlash and controversy when it comes to talking anything about Trump. So wearing the Make America Great Again hat, it's going to have people start talking about him. It's going to draw interest. It's going to have people hate him, which is exactly what we saw. What's his face do? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor do. And so he's trying to do what Conor McGregor perfected by causing controversy, make people hate him so that they'll watch him because they'll want to watch him get knocked out. And then he just continues to fight at a high level, and then people keep tuning in. That's exactly what Conor did by drawing, hate, but also love for the way he talked and acted and the way he expressed himself outside of the ring. So, and then that translated to inside the ring. So this week he claims that Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump will be front row for his UFC fight.
He is, it is in New Jersey, so
who knows? Like, it might happen. He said he's got a friendship with them, but he's just doing this to get publicity and get people to his fight and have people watch to see if see how this guy is and who he is and how entertaining can he be. I totally respect what he's trying to do. I don't know if it's going to work to how he wants, but he's a contender, and who knows? It could happen.
Colby Covington, winner of 6 in a row. Robbie Lawler has lost 3 of 4, including 2 in a row to Ben Askren and Rafael dos Anjos. How do you see this one playing out, Bobby? I think Colby Covington wins. He's definitely the favorite here, but I would not be 100% shocked if Robbie Lawler pulls off a stunning knockout, just catching him flush.
Yeah, no, I believe Colby Covington will win, but it could go either way to me, in my opinion. I really do think Colby Covington is the better fighter right now. But Robbie Lawler, we've seen him in some brawls, and he can get the job done. So you never know.
Yeah. Co-main event, couple of legends, Jim Miller, Clay Guida. I mean, the fact that they haven't fought each other in the UFC is just doesn't seem like it could possibly be true, but it somehow is. Both guys, legends from really the Ultimate Fighter era, and now putting it together and fighting. Jim Miller, I think, will take this one. I just think his submission skills with, Clay Guida, he's still the same guy. He's just not quite the same level, and he's not as fast, but he still tries to do the same things. And he's going to try to smother you. He's going to try to wrestle. He's going to try to, throw some wild punches. And they'll eventually get to the ground, whether it's Clay Guida taking him there or Jim Miller taking him there. But Miller still has that expert BJJ ability, and I think eventually he will submit Clay Guida. It probably won't happen early. It may be in the third round, but I think he ends up getting it done, especially because half of Clay Guida's losses are by submission. He's lost 18 times. 9 of them are by submission. So that's how I see this one going. Although it'll be really cool to see both those guys in the octagon together.
This was a fight that should have happened 10 years ago. Right. But my love for Clay Guida. He's my favorite fighter of all time. So give me Clay Guida. He's going to have an absolute brawl with him, and it's going to be a decision for Clay Guida.
All right, there you go. We're almost out of time, Bobby.
Yeah.
The biggest, happiest news of the last week to me is the fact that TNT is pulling the plug on players only broadcast for the NBA. It was an atrocious broadcast. We had Greg Anthony trying to do play-by-play, then missing entire plays, having no ability to sell a moment, big shots, big dunks, guys just going, oh, and just talking about things that are totally unrelated to the play on the court. So glad that players only is gone. Get Kevin Harlan in there. Get, I guess you can say Marv Albert, even though he's like 95 years old now. But just anytime you take away a experienced play-by-play guy and just put in a bunch of ex-players talking, I mean, it was a nice idea, but it was very flawed in his execution, and I'm glad to see it go by the wayside because it started on NBA TV, which is fine. I mean, your NBA TV games, you're not going to get a lot of people, but games on TNT with just those guys, it was the worst. So that was my happy moment of the week, Bobby.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. It was rough to watch, but yeah, I'm excited for the NFL starting up this week, and I'm excited to get this fantasy podcast going on Sunday night. So definitely check that out. Other than that, it's going to be a good week, man. Football's back. Football is back.
We got the Hall of Fame game on Thursday. You got Bobby's stuff on Sunday. So look in the channel for that. Look on Bobby's Twitter, and I will, of course, retweet that, and we'll get that out to you guys on Sunday. And I'm still planning on doing the MMA centric show probably for the Anaheim show. So in a couple of weeks, we'll be looking at that. So we'll get a couple of specific shows in here. We'll get our normal clip in the goods every Monday night, usually. And thanks everyone for commenting and watching. And we hope to do this again next week and hopefully keep on growing.
Check me out at GoodsbyBobby on Twitter and at Alex Klepper on Twitter as well.
That's right. All right, everyone. Good night.
You've been listening to Club in the Goods. Catch us here every Wednesday night from 7:30 to 9:30, or check the podcast anytime you like on Spreaker.com or on the Spreaker app. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Alex Klepper and at GoodsbyBobby. Yeah, that's kind of confusing. We're sorry. Have a great night, everyone.